I'm going to call this Tools and Tips. I've been building these for a little while, these foam board airplanes for a little while, and I've kind of amassed a bunch of tools, and maybe some of you guys would like to see what you can get. One of the handy things I've got is clamps. Okay, these are readily available at most hardware stores, and what you use those for is you can clamp down one end of your ruler while you're cutting your board, so that the ruler doesn't slide around. You can hold it with one hand and cut it, and it doesn't slide around. Now, my workbench is actually a an inch piece of MDF board, which allows me to be able to clamp on the edges, just like that. Of course, I've got my cutting mat, which is always nice to have a cutting mat. One of the things that you want to avoid if you have a cutting mat like this, and this is a nice one, I got it at Walmart, cost me $30. Never lay your heat gun down like this. If you lay your heat gun down, it causes it to warp, buckle, just aggravates you when you try to use it, and it's probably giving me other problems. Okay, the other thing I have is a 2-inch ruler. I've been looking for another one like this, and I can't find it because this one's getting numbers are wearing off of it. But for cutting a straight line, I clamp it down at one end, I'm able to cut straight line, no problem. Another thing you want to get is a good square. You can get different squares. I've got this one here, which I use a lot. It's getting a little ratty looking. And I've got a little tiny one here. See-through ruler. You can get these at most school supplies. But that see-through ruler makes it a lot easier when you're trying to measure something. You can see through it. It's real handy to use. This is an 18-inch ruler. I kind of like that. I've got a steel ruler. Again, this is for cutting more than measuring, but I can put it down. And you can also lay this against a surface that you just, say like one of the edges of your airplane. You can lay that off. It sucks the heat out of the hot glue. Okay. One of the things I want to show you, I always put a piece of foam on the back side of my motor mounts because I run sheet metal screws through with sharp points, and this goes on the side the battery's at, so the battery doesn't ever come forward and slap and punch a hole in the battery. Good little screwdriver. This is a lot long. I like a long one because sometimes you hold it here by the larger part, but you can also go down to the smaller part and spin the screws in and out faster. You always need to have some gift cards. Gift cards is for smoothing out tape, and a lot of people cut them up and use it for supports. Good ink pen. This is kind of a specialty tool. It's a drill, hand drill. It's kind of handy. I do use an electric drill. Okay, we've got your cutting knife. I like this one because you can got a long cutting knife or a short cutting knife. Okay. Your hobby knife, sharp point. It's kind of nice when you're cutting something like this, where you want to plunge cut. All the other cuts I make with this knife here. You know, like all my long cuts like this, I'll make with that knife there. Now, there is one thing to consider. I make a lot of specialty tools. When I say specialty tools, they're razor blades screwed to a piece of wood. That one makes these types of cuts here, which are your A and B cuts. There we go. That's probably. But there's a reason I have this cut like this. I'll show you in a second. Okay, I have a screwdriver. That allows me to just slide down through there and clean that paper out of there, paper and foam out of that cut. I have a good scissors. This is actually a very good scissors. I picked it up at a flea market one time, and it's actually a very good scissors. I like having a little hemostat clamp. It allows me to reach down, pick up an edge of a piece of tape or foam, and be able to pull it off, pick stuff up with it. This is a specialty tool. Basically, it's a compass, but it allows me to transfer measurements from one point, and then it has points on the end, so I can put it at one point and shove it in. Then I can duplicate that exact size somewhere else. Okay. Razor blades. You can't have too many razor blades. I mean, I buy them at 100 a pack at a time, $5 goes a long ways. Heat gun, I've got a good heat gun. This is one of the best I've had so far. I've had about 4 of them. This is from Walmart. I don't know, it's about 10 bucks or something. Made a little stand for it. Keeps it out of trouble. It's getting full of hot glue now, so I'm going to have to do something about that. And I have a little thing I made up to balance some of the airplanes with. This isn't particular for the type of airplanes I'm building now, but I've used it in the past. It's a couple dowels sitting on a block of wood. You can see I just drill hole in, shove the dowel in, and that way I can balance the plane easier. And I have a screwdriver. This screwdriver here is quite nice. It's part of another screwdriver, one of those big fat handle screwdrivers with a ratchet on. I busted it out. It's magnetic, so I can change the tips real easy. And it fits in here really good. Sometimes those are really easy to strip out. Alright, I think that's most everything I've got there for tools. Just one little tips I want to give you is that I've found that if you take your heat gun and you kind of lay it on the foam there and just kind of don't put any, just kind of make a channel. Now I understand that when they do kits that you end up with this channel automatically. Then I take and I put a little glue on there. Just like that. Now, have these things made up like this. Just the width of that. Slide that over. Pull it over. And I've got a finished edge there now. I don't know if you can see it, but there's just a slight bit of glue over the paper on the edge. And there's glue run up and down the center here. Now that's going to make that to where the paper isn't going to peel off easily. You can see I scraped the glue right off on the piece of paper I had here. I just cut that the width of the board, just like you're doing your A and B cuts, same thing. But it worked out pretty good. Okay, I think that's about it. These are just some quick tips I've been meaning to make. A lot of people have been asking me, you know, how do I build these things? And this is how you can get started with much less than this. I actually got started with just MDF board, but I found that making a cut in the same place ended up causing it to begin to flake, and then it would get into whatever I was working on, and it would get, and if I have to put tape down or something, it would get under the tape. Hey, thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you again.